All right, well, hello again, sixth graders. We are moving right along here in chapter 9. Today, our focus is on lesson 9.3. We've been moving right along through this year, and our last chapter will be chapter 10. Right now, we're about halfway through chapter 9, so we're moving right along. Now, in yesterday's video for 9.2, we focused on the mean. And you'll remember that the mean was the average of a set of data, where we would add all the numbers together and then we would divide by the amount of numbers that were in the set. We don't want to forget about mean. We will use that skill today, finding the mean. But we're also adding in a couple of more terms today of these measures of central tendency, as we talked about in class. The first one is the median. The median is essentially the middle number in a set of data when the numbers are arranged in order from least to greatest. So if you want to find the median, the first thing you have to do is put the numbers in order from least to greatest. So that's what we're going to do here with this first set: 15, 27, 36, 8, 22, 14, and 39. We're going to find the middle number in the set first by putting them in order from least to greatest. So I am looking at these numbers here, and I see that 8 is the smallest number. And then it looks like 14, so I'm going to put 14 there. Then it looks like 15, so I'm going to put 15 next. Then it looks like 22, so I'm going to put 22 in there. Looks like that's going to be followed by 27. So I'm going to put 27 in there. And then it looks like I've got 36 and 39. So I'm just going to go ahead and add in 36 and 39. And I always like to make sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers in the set. On my new list, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have them all. So when I want to find the middle number, essentially, I just cross off one there, and one there, one there, and one there, one there, and one there, and I see the one that's in the middle. Now this one happens to have an odd amount of numbers in the data set, so there is a clear middle number. We will talk about what to do here in a couple minutes later in this video on what to do when there's not a clear middle number. But as long as there's an odd amount of numbers in the set, there will be a clear middle number. And in this case, that's 22. So 22 is the median. Now, your second set of directions is going to ask you to find the median and the mode. So let's start with what we talked about first, the median. So remember, what I have to do is I have to put the numbers in order first from least to greatest. So I'm looking at this set of numbers: 14, 19, 16, 13, 16, 14. I'm going to put them in order from least to greatest. Looks like 13 goes first, followed by 14. And then I've got another 14. And those are considered two different numbers, even though they're the same. So they both have to go in the list. And then I've got 16. And then I've got another 16. And then I'm going to finish off with 19. So I've got 13, 14, 14, 16, 16, 19. So I want to find the clear middle number: 13, 19, 14, 16. And now I've got two middle numbers, because if I come here and cross this one off, then I've got to cross this one off. I can't just go back and forth and cross off one from one side, not from the other. Did the first and the last, then I did the second to the last. If I came here and crossed this one off, then I would have to cross this one off, and I can't do that. So what I do now is I find the mean of these two numbers. So there's where one way that we're talking about utilizing that skill. I find the average of these two numbers, or essentially what I'm doing is I'm finding what the middle number is between these two. Sometimes that's easy to figure out, because I know that right between 14 and 16 is 15. So even though 15 is not in the set, 15 would be considered the median. Now, when I talk about finding the mean, because it's not always that easy to figure out what's exactly between them, because sometimes you might be thinking, well, it's 8. Maybe your two numbers are going to be 8 and 1,223. That's not real easy to figure out what's right in the middle between 8 and 1,223. So when really what we talk about is finding the mean, which means we're going to add these two numbers together, 14 plus 16, just like we did yesterday in finding the mean. 4 plus 6 is 10. Put the 0 down, carry the 1. 1, 2, 3. I get 30. Then I'm going to take that 30 and I'm going to divide it by 2 because there's 1, 2 numbers in the set. And some of you are probably starting to realize what's going to happen here. 2 can go into 3 once. 1 times 2 is 2. 3 minus 2 is 1. Drop the 0 down. 2 can go into 10 5 times. There's none left over because 2 times 5 is 10. And amazingly, I got 15 that way too. So sometimes you might be able to just know what the middle number is. Sometimes you might have to add them and divide by 2. Go through the process. Now let's talk about the mode. The mode is the number that occurs most often. This is not to be confused with it shows up more than one time. The mode is the number that occurs more often than any other number. So when I look at this set specifically, I've got 14, 19, 16, 13, 16, and 14. I see that I have 1 14, 2 14s, but I also have a 16 and 2 16s. So you are allowed to have more than one mode. So in this case, both 14 and 16 would be considered the mode because they occur more often than any of the other numbers, and they occur the same amount of times. Now, let's say, for example, all right, I'm going to put those same numbers on this board. So 14, 19, 16, 13, 16, and 14. Now, so we talked about, just like it is, we have 14 and 16 as a mode. Now let's say that I just added another 16. Now we'd still have 2 14s, but now we have 1, 2, 3 16s. Okay? And that would make, in this case, the mode, or the number that occurs most often, 16. 14 is no longer a mode because it only occurs twice, and 16 occurs 3 times. Now, let's just say that all of a sudden, I get rid of all of those numbers right there. And I'm focusing, and I'm going to cross this off because that's no longer our mode. I'm focusing now on just these 4 numbers, 13, 16, 19, and 14. There is no number that occurs more often. They all just show up once, okay? Which means that there is no mode. And sometimes there is no mode. So like in this example that we did, sometimes there can be more than one mode. When we added the 14, the 16, and the 14, sometimes there's just one mode, one number that occurs. Sometimes, like in this example, there is no mode. No number that occurs more often than any other. All right, we're going to clear some space here. All right, so here we got mean, median, and mode. We're given a set of numbers, and we have to find all 3 of them. Mean, median, and mode. Okay? So, let's start with the most difficult first. All right? Let's start with the mean, and so I know what the mean, I've got to add all the numbers together. So I see that I'm working with mixed numbers, fractions, so to speak. So I want to see if there's going to be a common denominator that's going to work. Because remember, with fractions and mixed numbers, we got to have a common denominator. I see 2 and 8, 4. So 2 and 8 and 4, those are the 3 denominators it looks like I'm working with. So I'm thinking all of those can go into 8. So I think we're going to use the common denominator 8. So we're going to take 7.5, and we're going to add 5 and 5/8. And that's going to stay 5 and 5/8. That's going to become 7 and something over 8. 2 times 4 makes 8. So 1 times 4 is 4. That looks like we end up with 9 over 8 and 12 and 9 over 8. Now, I'm going to cheat a little bit. Well, I'm not really going to cheat, but I'm going to be a little more efficient. I'm not going to worry about this numerator being bigger than the denominator until the end. I'm going to get all my adding done, then I'm going to spend time doing that. So now I'm going to add the next number, which is 2 and 1 over 8. And that looks like it's going to be 10 over 8, and 12 plus 2 is 14. So I've got 14 and 10 over 8, and 10 over 8, and I'm going to be adding 4 and 3/4. Well, I know that's going to stay 14 and 10 over 8. You see the effort you've got to go through, 6th grade. You have to be willing to do this work. You have to be willing to be organized. You've got to take your time. So this is going to be 4 and something over 8. 4 times 2 makes 8. So 3 times 2 makes 6. All right. And so 10 plus 6 is 16 over 8. 14 plus 4 is 18. Now, something I do want you to look for. I do want you to realize that 16 over 8 is equal to 2, because 16 divided by 8 is 2. So it's like I have 18 here, and then I have 16 over 8. 16 divided by 8 is 2. There's none left over. We know that because 8 times 2 is 16. So this is like 18 plus 2. That gives me 20. So now I'm going to focus on 20. I'm going to use the number 20. And I'm going to come here and add 5 and 5/8. Well, that's going to be pretty basic, because 20 plus 5 and 5/8 is going to equal 25 and 5/8. There's no fraction here. The 5/8 and 20 plus 5 is 25. So now we're going to move on. 25 and 5/8 plus the 4 and 1/4. Well, I should think that 4 and 1/4, this is going to stay as 25 and 5/8. This is going to become 4 and something over 8. Well, 4 times 2 is 8, and 1 times 2 is 2. So 5/8 plus 2/8 is 7/8. 25 plus 4 is 29. 29 and 7/8. I'm going to add 9 and 5/8 plus 9 and 5/8. 7/8 plus 5/8 is 12/8. 29 plus 9 is 38. I have 38 and 12/8. Let's make a mental note of 38 and 12/8, because I'm going to clear some of my scratch work here. Because I've got to take that 38 and 12/8, and that's what I get. I'm going to add this last one, this 3.5, plus 3.5. Well, I'm using 9, or I'm using 8, so this is still going to be 38 and 12 over 8, and this is going to become 3 and something over 8. 2 times 4 is 8. 1 times 4 is 4. So it looks like 12 plus 4 is 16. 16 over 8. 38 plus 3 is 41. I get 41 and 16 over 8. Once again, 16 over 8 is 2. 16 divided by 8 is 2. So 41 and 2 make 43. When I add them all together, I get 43. But to find the mean, I have to divide them by how many numbers are in the set. So I'm going to take 43, and I'm going to divide it by how many numbers are in the set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to take 43 and divide that by 8. I want to think of that as a fraction. 43 over 8. Set that division problem up as a fraction. 8 can go into 43 5 times. If I take 8 into 43 5 times, there will be 3 left over. Because remember what I'm doing. This is essentially what I'm doing. 43 divided by 8. It can go in 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. 43 minus 40 is 3. I get 3 left over. That's what goes there. My denominator is 8. Nothing besides 1 can go into both 3 and 8. 5 and 3/8 is the mean. That's the mean. All right, now let's clear some space because I have to also find the median and the mode. All right, so let's erase this. We found the mean, 5 and 3/8. All right, so let's make a note of that. The mean is 5 and 3/8. Now, when I look here, I want to find the mode, which is the number that occurs most often. When I'm looking at my numbers correctly, it looks like the only numbers that occur twice are 5 and 5/8. And it doesn't look like any other number repeats himself. So the mode would be 5 and 5/8. All right. Now I need to find the median, which is the middle number in a set of data. So I need to put these all in order from least to greatest. So looks like my smallest one is 2 1/8. That's going to be followed by 3 1/2, which is going to be followed, it looks like, by 4 1/4, which is going to be followed by 4 3/4, which will be followed by my 2 5 and 5/8. Whoops, let me just do that. And then it looks like it goes to 7 1/2. And then the last one, 9 and 5/8. And I like to make sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers on my list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers on that list. So remember, the median is the middle number. So I'm going to cross off the smallest, and then the largest, and the second smallest, second largest, third smallest, third largest. I've got 2 middle numbers. So I'm going to have to find the mean of them. I'm going to have to take 4 3/4 and add 5 and 5/8. Well, once again, we're going to use 8 as a common denominator. 4 times 2 is 8. 3 times 2 is 6. We're going to add 5 and 5/8. 6/8 plus 5/8 is 11/8. 4 plus 5 is 9. When I look at my 11/8, I've got to turn that into a mixed number. 8 can go into 11 one time. If I take 8 into 11 one time, there will be 3 left over. My denominator here is 8, so my denominator here is 8. I can't forget about the 9, so I'm going to add that to the 1. That leaves me with 10 and 3/8, and that is in simplest form, because no number besides 1 can go into both 3 and 8. All right, we're going to clear some space for one more example. And this last example is going to take a little while too. So this is a little longer video. And we're going to look at some numbers here. The numbers are going to be 85, 77, 211, 88, 91, 84, and 85. And we are going to find the mean with the outlier and without the outlier. Well, let's first talk about what the outlier is. Sometimes there'll be multiple outliers. For what you're doing today, there'll be just one outlier. Essentially, the outlier is, simply put, the number that is farthest away from the group. You have a bunch of numbers, and then there seems to be just this extra random number in the set that seems to be significantly higher than the rest, or it could also be significantly lower than the rest. It can be smaller or bigger. It just seems to be far away from the rest of the group. So when I look here, 85, 77, 211, 88, 91, 84, and 85, it appears to me that 211 is the outlier. So first of all, my job is to find the mean, the median, and the mode with the outlier and without the outlier. Now on your paper, when you do them, it's going to be kind of written that way so you can kind of see. All right, and you can kind of see how I'm going to expect you to write those down. Okay, you're just going to have to do the scratch work somewhere, and then with the outlier, without the outlier, mean, median, and mode, I give you a place to write the numbers. We're not necessarily going to organize it that way in the video. So first of all, let's focus on the mode first. Okay, let's keep the outlier in. We're going to use 211 right now, and it looks to me like 85 shows up twice. Now, so that tells me that the mode with the outlier is going to be 85. Now, if I were to take 211 out of the set, 85 would still come twice. So it looks like with the outlier, the mode is 85. And when I take the 211 out, it still appears that the mode is 85. Because 85 still appears twice. That's not very good. Let's actually get a decent 8 there. There we go. All right, let's work on the mean. Now remember the mean, I've got to add all the numbers together. So I'm going to make a long addition problem here. 85, 77, 211, 88, 91, 84, and 85. We're going to go ahead and add all these together. 5 plus 7 is 12, plus 1 is 13, plus 8 is 21, plus 1 is 22, plus 4 is 26, plus 5 is 31. So put the 1 down, carry the 3. 3 plus 8 is 11, plus 7 is 18, plus 1 is 19, plus 8 is 27, plus 9 is 36, plus 8 is 44, plus 8 is 52. Put the 2 down, carry the 5. 5 plus 2 is 7. I get 721. Now remember, I have to divide that by how many numbers are in the set, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm going to take 7 into 721. This is not going to be a difficult division problem. 7 can go into 7 once. 1 times 7 is 7. 7 minus 7 is 0. Drop the 2. 7 cannot go into 2, so I put a 0 there. As long as I put a 0 there, I can go ahead and drop the 1. 7 can go into 21 3 times. 7 times 3 is 21. 21 minus 21 is 0. The mean with the outlier is 103. Now, to find the mean without the outlier, I have to take out 211. Now, it's not really necessary, as long as you keep yourself organized, to add all these numbers together. I can simply take the 721. I can remove the outlier, which is 211. Subtract it. 1 minus 1 is 0. 2 minus 1 is 1. 7 minus 2 is 5. I can then take 510 and divide it. But remember now I've removed the outlier, so there's no longer 7 numbers in the set. Now there's only 6. 6 cannot go into 5, but 6 can go into 51 8 times. 8 times 6 is 48. 51 minus 48 is 3. I bring down the 0. Not a hard division problem. 6 can go into 30 5 times, and I know there's none left over because 6 can go into 6 times 5 is 30. Without the outlier, my mean is 85, as we figured out. Now I'm going to go ahead and clear my space here. We're going to focus on the median. Now the median, remember, is the middle number in the set. So I'm looking at my original set, 85, 77, 211, 88, 91, 84, and 85. I'm going to put those in order from least to greatest. Looks like I'm starting with 77. That's going to be followed, it looks like, by 84. And then I've got 2 85s. And then it looks like I've got an 88. And it looks like I've got a 91. And that's followed by my outlier, 211. But with the outlier, you always have to include the 211. So once again, double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers here. So I like that. Cross off the smallest, then the biggest. Then the second smallest, then the second biggest. Then the third smallest, and the third biggest. I have one clear number. And look at that. Without the outlier, the mode, the mean, and the median is 85. Oh, sorry. I'm putting that in the wrong place. That's with the outlier. Median, 85. Now, without the outlier, I'm going to take out the 211. So I'm going to rewrite my list. I can keep it in the same order because it has to be least to greatest for median. 85, 85. Sorry about that. 91. Camera's acting a little funny. 211. Sorry. I messed that up. 211 is not part of it. And I forgot the 88. So it's the 88 and the 91. So now I have just the first 6 numbers here in this set. 77, 84, 85, 85, 88, 91. Cross off the smallest number, cross off the biggest number. Second smallest number, second biggest number. I'm left with 2 middle numbers. Now remember, sometimes it's easy just to figure out what the middle number is. Sometimes you have to add the 2 numbers and divide them by 2, because really remember what you're doing is you're finding the mean of those 2 numbers. In this case, they're both the same number, so there's no thought that has to go into it. My median is clearly 85. All right, mean, median, mode. Kind of a long video, but you can handle it. 6th grade. Talk to you later. Bye.